Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Raw Daddy Hour, hosted by yours truly, Raw Daddy himself. This is your grandma's favorite podcast, and today's episode is sponsored by State Farm of Detroit. If you're in the Detroit area and you need some insurance, hit up Kenya Wells. She's going to get you together. I've been with State Farm since I've needed insurance, and I'm good. I want to introduce you guys to my guests. To my immediate left, I have Miss Vicky. Far left, you already know. Come on now. You see
Back
the
on the
beanie
left
intact,
side.
beanie intact,
Let's go.
chain dripping, drip god Shad is on my far left. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about, is there an age limit on passion, man? Are you ever too old to chase after that dream that you had festering inside of you? So, Vicky, I'm going to start with you first. What's your thoughts on this? Do you feel like there's an age limit on passions or what?
There is no age limit on passions. The only thing I can say is that if you're trying to do something that maybe requires physical strength or your body to be at a certain condition and now you're 75, there may be some realistic goals or whatnot that you might have to face with that. You know, if it's something that has to do with maybe athleticism or whatever it may be. But as far as pursuing it, I don't believe that it's never too late to start.
Shad?
Yeah, I mean, she pretty much hit the nail on the head. Physical limitations obviously can be a hurdle. You know, if your goal or your dream is to do something that requires a high physical, task or whatever. But if you have a dream and you have to put pieces in place and don't let age slow you down or stop you from jumping into that or even starting it. I feel like that's like the thing that most people don't really, they don't start because they feel like, oh, I'm too old to start. If you dream it and you feel like you got the tools to do it, go ahead and do it. Don't let somebody else's insecurities slow you down, stop you from chasing your dream.
I'm a little on the fence. I'm in the it depends bucket. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like not every passion should be chased. I think you have to be very real with yourself on your earning potential for your passion, right? So even if we take age out of it, I could be very passionate about basketball, wanting to be a basketball player. But I have to be real with myself on, am I going to be able to make a livable wage playing basketball? And if that's not the case, then maybe I just need to be a weekend warrior and that not be something that I put all of my energy and effort into. And now when you add age into the equation, I feel like there are certain things, even outside of athletics, that you should probably have started when you were younger. You can go to things like family. If you already have children, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to kind of pivot and just put all of your energy into this thing that you've always wanted to do. So I do kind of agree, and this kind of goes to like my personality, that time is of the essence and that it is a lot more feasible to get these things done when you're younger. You have less chances to make mistakes when you're older. You kind of got to get it right on the first time. And yeah, that's kind of my thoughts with that. I'm not really, I do believe that when you're older, you can still pursue things, but I think it takes a lot more, I think you need to be a lot more real with yourself on the realisticness of it. I think if you're younger, you can kind of just chase things a little more frivolously because you have that time to, if this doesn't work out, I can kind of pivot, I can go to something different. But I think when you're older, you have to really sit with yourself and think like, okay, do I really have the tools to pull this off? Am I really capable of doing this? Because I know we always tell people to chase their passions and stuff, but I don't want to tell someone to do that at the detriment of the lifestyle that they want.
I think it depends on the goal because just because they're chasing a passion doesn't necessarily mean they want to make an income off of it. Their passion could be, I want to help build a school in such and such country, or it's always been a goal of mine to write a book because I love writing, or to to write a screenplay or something. So I think it depends on what the goal is. If the goal is they want to completely change their career and have this passion be an avenue for an income, then I think the conversation needs, there are more things to work out in that discussion. But if it's just something like, I just love to cook and I want to be able to cook and share it with people, it may not be about making money for them. So.
Yeah, because I feel like because if the passion is directly tied to making a certain amount of money, is it really a passion at that point? Like, because once you make that certain amount of money, now what?
No, I don't think it's tied to making a certain amount. I'm talking about a livable amount.
So
Like my passion is filmmaking, and I make films for a living. But if I couldn't make enough to live, then I couldn't have that as a career.
But that wage, that income level is subjective. So it's like,
no, definitely.
So I feel like, I guess what I'm trying to understand is, or not even understand, but if I want to design clothes and I only make, $20,000, $40,000 a year doing that. I mean, me personally, I believe like if I'm passionate about it, and let's say that's my only source of income, like I'm gonna make that 40 work. And because I'm passionate about it, my design is gonna get better, my business acumen is gonna get better, and I'm going to make more money. So I think, again, like if you're passionate about it, the money is just like the extra thing. Like I'm gonna do this because I love to do it. I don't really care how much money I make. If I make money, that's great. I won't say I won't care about how much money I make, but if I can like live a life, like I can make enough money to make ends meet and do and still run my business, I'm good with it.
But see, that also goes back to what I was saying about having that conversation with yourself, because there are a lot of people that would not be okay with $40K a year.
That's very true.
And if you're not okay with $40K a year, then maybe chasing design is not for you. It could still be your passion, and that's what I meant about the weekend warrior thing. It could be something that you dabble in on the side, but if you're not so passionate about something, or you don't feel that you have the tools to continue the lifestyle you want, I think that's where age kind of screws you, because you're already set in a lifestyle, a specific lifestyle. And so if you're someone coming from making $200 a year, and to pursue your passion, you got to go down to 40, are you able to do that? Are you willing to do that? Because for a lot of people, that's how that goes. If you're 45 and successful and now you want to switch, the first 3-4 years of being an entrepreneur, you're going to dip, and that's normal. You're going to have that conversation with yourself. If 40K is going to do it for you at 45, and if you have kids or don't have kids or whatever, but that's going to be a conversation you're going to have. Maybe you design the clothes for your kids' baseball team or something like that. That can scratch that itch for you. But that's what I mean when I say, like, you have to be self-aware enough. If you know that you can do it for 40K and you love it that much, that 40K is fine with you, then that's you. But I don't want to just blanket say nah, chase that shit, bro. Do it. That I feel like people do that too much, to the point where we're not real with each other about are you really good at this? Can you really scale this? Or is it something that you just need to keep as a hobby?
But is a passion about being good at something?
Right. You don't have to be
passion,
good.
Well, if you want to make it a career, yeah.
But are we talking about
both?
Making it a career? Or
I think so, yeah. When I say chase your passion,
dreams.
I'm thinking about, when I say dreams and passions, I'm thinking about a career.
Okay.
But I think I still think you should go for it, because I think where people get into trouble is when they go for it without a plan. That's the issue. If let's say you have a whole family, you have kids or whatnot, you can still go for it, but then you might have to be realistic with yourself and how you pace the different goals you set for yourself. Okay, if I know that I'm usually the coach of my kids' soccer team, there's some strategy that has to be put in place, but it doesn't mean that you still can't go for it. So that's kind of
my. I think the older you are, the more in place your plan has to be, because you don't have the luxury of time on your side to have as many screw ups as someone who's younger. So I think if you're older, you need to make sure that you have a more solid plan, maybe a better idea of a better roadmap for when you first start out. I feel like if you're younger, like again, you can just jump in without a plan, without it, just say, oh, I'm gonna just do this thing, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I definitely agree. Like if you have a dream, you have a passion, like definitely like have that plan, and I personally believe like pursue it to the absolute maximum you can with the other responsibilities that you have. When I think about like, I guess going back to like the sports thing too, I think I look at, let's say for track for instance, you have a lot of people who want to be professional track athletes, and you immerse yourself in the sport, you learn everything. I feel like a lot of times, like when you do that, sometimes you make it, and then sometimes you come across things where you might take a different route, you might end up being a coach, and that could be just as fulfilling as making it to the Olympic Games or whatever. Sometimes it might not be, but sometimes it might be a case where, I've learned so much, I've been a absolute crazy person about the sport, learning everything, studying different things, this, that, and the third. What am I going to do with these tools now? Now that my biological clock has run out, I can no longer, run these times or run as fast as I can or whatever. Maybe let me shift this and do something, become maybe the world's greatest, sprint coach or something like that. I feel like that can still be a means of still pursuing your dreams, but you got to make a little shift in there and try something a little different.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. And that goes back to a theme we've been harping on, which is just being self-aware. I mean, I can go back to my own journey about me having to sit down with myself and saying, you're not going to the Olympics, so you cannot swim. Like, I know you love it, but you're not going to make money swimming, period. You need to stop. And that's where I think people get caught up in this whole passion thing. I think sports is a great example of where people get a little too caught up in it. Where it's like, okay, bro, like, you're 28 now. Like, you have actual responsibilities. Like, you can't just, do what, we don't all have the luxury of doing what we want to do. I agree with chasing your passion, but what do you guys feel about giving yourself a realistic deadline to see if it works out or not? Because to just blindly chase something, I could never advise someone to do that. I'm with the plan thing, but you have to set like markers, you know what I mean? Like if I'm, I need to reach this point to be able to do this. I need to, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like it sounds great to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to try to be a painter, but like it's not meant for everybody. Like that's why everyone's not in the same exact career field. We can't all do the same things. Everyone's not going to be an actor. Everyone's not going to be a barber or whatever. Like, and so at some point you have to, really sit with yourself and be like, okay, is this feasible? Or do I need to bump it down to hobby? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think that's a part of self-realization. You know what I mean? Like I could be still swimming to this day in pools, going to practices, and yeah, y'all got practice, man. I can't meet up with y'all and not making a dime. That's just not smart. Like we all understand the relationship between life and money. Like we understand that we need it. And I've seen people do that, and I'm like, what ends up happening, at least in my eyes, like from what I've seen, is they start to lose a sense of reality and a sense of self, because now you've hinged everything on this and not given it a realistic look. And that's kind of where I want to be cautious with, like, just telling people to throw themselves to the wind and just chase it. Like I say, okay, and I even tell this to this isn't for older people. I tell this to younger people that are always talking about how they want to drop out of school and pursue like a business or whatever. Give yourself a year and really evaluate that year, right? You can take off school for a year because of course it's going to be there. Give yourself a year, and in that year, really be hard on yourself at the end when you analyze like everything, like jot down the stuff that you do. Can I keep doing this? And will it work? Do I actually see a future in what I'm doing? If the answer is yes, then there you go. Your questions have been answered on whether or not you should go back to school. If the answer is no, be real enough to tell yourself no. And I don't know that a lot of people are real enough to tell themselves no. And I feel like the entrepreneurship route is great, but it can crucify you if you don't do it right. If you fail as an entrepreneur, it's like nothing. I mean, of course you can go get a job, but like, I feel like it's high risk, high reward. And I don't know that a lot of people have the wherewithal to be truly honest with themselves, man. Like when you stopped running, you had to be honest with yourself. Like, look, Shad, we ain't here. You know what I'm saying? I tried, I gave it a try, and you gave it a try. Of course, in track, you have benchmarks like Olympics or World Championships, all that stuff. So you gave yourself, I did this many meets. I ran my ass off for 4 years, right? Most people for the Olympic cycle, they're like, okay, I'm gonna give it 4 years. If I don't make it, then, maybe it's time to look in the mirror. So that's kind of like,
Yeah, I mean, I guess I definitely agree with that, because like track, I've always, like when I was running, like one thing that I always told myself, it was like, I'm not gonna be that guy chasing a dream that I know is getting further and further away from me as time goes on. Could I've ran for another 3-4 years and made a couple more, Ghana teams and traveled internationally and done all that stuff like that? Hell yeah, I could have done that. But at that, like you said, I think sitting down and reassessing what the goal is, where you are in your life, and what do you want in your life is super important. For me, at that point, when I decided to stop running, I sat down and I was like, I mean, do I want to try to chase another Olympic Games? Not really. I'm ready to start doing other things in my life. So for me to be able to let go, I was cool with it. I mean, I know people who, they're my age and they're still running, and there's nothing wrong with that, because again, maybe they don't go to the Olympic Games, but they do have masters events and things like that. And for them, that's fulfilling. But you need to be able to say to yourself, like, yo, am I really going to make it to Olympic Games? If I'm not, am I going to be cool with doing the masters circuit or doing, they have the USATF regional meets and, little small stuff here. And that's cool. Some people love the sport. They love doing it. I think the other thing, but then I do want to speak to what you said about talking to like just people, you kind of categorize younger people and like putting a time limit. And I feel like I get it.
Not a time limit, an evaluation period.
I don't even know because when you say that, what comes to mind for me is, for example, Sam Jackson. He did not make it as an actor. I want to say 45, something crazy like that, like 40 something.
Yeah, his
like
breakout role was in like his 40s.
Yeah, it was in his 40s.
That's the exception, though.
But it's far more common. Like I even think about myself.
Yeah, it's more common than we think, and these people aren't necessarily maybe like big superstars, that we can quickly pull from their story. But I'm a spiritual person, so I believe God's timing is perfect timing. So I don't think it's necessarily, and there may be some things that happen. And maybe that 4-year journey, that 5-year journey, that 10-year journey could have been preparing you for where you're supposed to be. So that kind of deadline, that timeline is a little, I don't know if I can really advocate for kind of giving yourself a time limit,
it's not a limit.
It's an evaluation.
Okay, so it's like this.
But that's
I'll elaborate so that you understand more what I'm talking about. So you said Sam Jackson didn't get his breakout until he was 40. But there were signs along the line that led him to believe he was going to get it.
Not always.
Yeah, it is.
Especially in acting.
He had to
Not
know.
always. Because
he wasn't just sitting on his ass, and then at 40 years old, they were like, "Come on, Sam."
Well, no, but I'm
You
saying,
know?
but there's a struggle. There's a
I'm not
there's a
saying there's
lot
no
of
struggle.
like, but that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people that make it, like, especially in his case. Well, let me go to Viola Davis because I remember her actually talking about this, and she remembers like being in a depressed place, you know, like just crying, like maybe I'm just gonna give up. A lot of people like that, especially in the creative space, have those moments where like I'm just gonna give up. You know, so it's like you have to take this evaluation with a grain of salt as well. And a lot of times when that happens, you never know what opportunity that you're going to get. So you can't really say, I knew I was going to blow.
I'm not saying, like, I think you're missing the point of it's not that you're given a clear signal like I'm going to blow. What I'm saying is evaluate your dedication level and your realistic expectations of if this is going to work out. And I feel like a year is more than enough time to do that. You know, if you can continue doing something after you've done it for a year.
Enough time.
I don't think so, because I think about and I go back to athletics because I feel like it's a tangible like barometer of your ability. So like I think a lot about myself. I started running track my junior year of high school. My goal was to get a scholarship to go to college, an athletic scholarship. My junior year, I was like, I didn't run shit. Like I wasn't shit. My senior year, I was running okay, but when it came time to go to, to get ready for college, I had no offers. I didn't. My freshman year, I didn't have an athletic scholarship. I had to work for it. So like when you say give yourself a time and space to evaluate yourself. If in my mind I'm saying, okay, like scholarship is like my evaluate. If I don't get any offers, then that's it. I'm done. And there's a lot of kids who do that. Like
I'm not saying that the evaluation is to get the attainable goal. You had indications that I should keep doing this.
But no. Again, I did it because it was a passion of mine. I liked running, and when the time came to finish,
improving, correct?
Yeah, I got better each year.
That's an indicator.
But that doesn't mean
going.
that he's gonna.
No, but that's the thing. That's not for everybody, because if you say to yourself, I got to be able to get a scholarship, that's going to get me. Because again, I'm not saying I needed a scholarship to go to UCLA or LSU. Like I just wanted a scholarship. It could have been to go to a community college or whatever. If I'm not fast enough to get any offers, then why am I wasting my time trying to do this? But then as a coach, you even see it too. You get kids who come in, and this is coaching D3, where there's no scholarships. So those kids come in, and I've countless kids who are not that good. But by the end of the process, because they're passionate with it and they're sticking with it, I've seen kids become national champions or go to nationals, and for them that's their fulfillment. But if they came in and after 1 year were like, I'm still running the same times I was in high school, like why am I like? There's kids who quit. They be like, nah, I'm not doing this. And a lot of times you have more of the tools than the person who actually succeeded.
But doesn't that show you that wasn't truly their passion if they just let it go like that? That's what the evaluation is about. If you're I'll take it. I'll keep with your story. If you were not as passionate about getting that scholarship and running as you were, you wouldn't have kept running.
Yep.
In a year, you knew I'm going to keep doing this. You didn't decide after you were already in a scholarship position. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have to give yourself a realistic time frame to figure out, do I really want to do this? And am I ready for the hardships that come with that? I'm not saying within a year you're supposed to be successful, but you do need to evaluate, and we can even scrap the year. You do need to have some sort of bearings to establish, am I ready for what's coming with this? And if so, press on. If not, go back to what's familiar. That's all I'm saying. That is part of planning. You can't just say, oh, I love it, so. You need to really look hard at yourself. Look in the mirror and say, am I ready for what's about to come next? No, there are very few people that say, I want to go to the Olympics and then just Usain Bolt that shit. Even Usain Bolt didn't Usain Bolt that shit. He didn't even make the freaking Olympic team in 2004. He didn't even make the team. But he had to know that, okay, I'm ready for what comes next. When Michael Phelps won 8 gold medals in Beijing, he had to be ready to only miss 2 practices in 4 years.
But a lot of times you don't really know.
You don't know.
It just comes upon you. Like even for myself, like I never said I wanted to go to when I was starting running. I never wanted to go to Olympics.
I know your goal was the scholarship.
Yeah. So I was like, I'll be like,
and you were passionate enough to know that whatever comes with that, I'm willing to do it.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
But what I'm saying, like you said, when people, you said people, you have to know. I don't feel like you have to know. I feel like sometimes just doing is enough. Being in it is just enough.
Not when you're 50.
Why not?
Why not?
You got kids, bro. You got mouths to feed. You got
You can
people
work
relying on you.
There are solutions.
All right, there's that's very broad.
I think there are solutions.
All
There
right.
are. There's a solution to anything. It's a matter of finding it. So, and a matter of the goals that you're setting for yourself as well. Like if you're saying, I want to be in a major movie in 6 months, that's probably not realistic. So it's about just setting realistic goals for yourself, but that doesn't mean that you can't pursue it. If it comes down to you have kids, then there are solutions for that. Can someone watch your kids? Can someone, there are different things that you can do to adjust. Now, would you have to make more adjustments than if you were younger? Probably, but that doesn't mean that you can't pursue it.
So I guess my question to that would be, so in your minds, you're never chasing a passion too long.
In my mind, no.
Wow.
No, because but it goes back to this.
And I
don't attach monetary gain
Right.
or
Not even
anything.
monetary. Not even monetary. Just
So then
like I'll go to fighting, for example. I'll go to UFC, for example. Muhammad Ali. I'll even use Muhammad Ali. Was it worth fighting so past your prime that you were enabled to be a functioning human at a normal age?
For him, probably, yeah.
You think he thought that?
It's possible. I mean, I think about myself. I lose sleep when I lose sleep over stuff I'm passionate about.
But is that not a sign to keep doing it?
That's a sign
That's
to keep.
what I'm
saying. No,
this
that's
whole
the sign to
time.
keep doing it.
That's what I said, to keep doing it.
Right. So you said,
That's
worth
you
him?
evaluating whether or not you're passionate about something. You lose sleep over the fact that you're not doing it. That is a sign to keep doing it. If you are not someone that feels that passionately about something, why would you keep doing it?
But we're talking about people who do feel passionately.
And that's what the evaluation period is for.
But what do you?
So passion.
What are
Same
you
things you're passionate about
evaluating,
can be the level of passion that you have for it. My level of passion for basketball could be going to the rec on the weekends, and that's fine. I have to own that and put myself in that lane. But if my passion is to try to go to the NBA, if that's the level of passion, and I accept the responsibility that comes with trying to reach that goal, then that is me owning the fact that I'm going to keep doing this. But if you don't have that level of dedication, I don't promote people doing things half-ass. I don't think you should run with a half-baked passion. I personally think that is detrimental to yourself. And if you have other people that you're responsible for, I think that is extremely irresponsible.
But
That's just how.
How is someone pursuing an NBA? Like, give me an example of a person who is working towards the NBA in a half-ass manner.
There's a lot of people that swear up and down. I knew a girl that I worked at the YMCA who swore up and down that she was going to the Olympics in swimming. Every day, that's all she talked about. And this is actually, have had this, multiple women have done this. When I worked at the YMCA and also when I worked at Lifetime. I had this girl, she swore up and down, she told us every single day, I'm going to the Olympics, blah, 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 blah. But was not doing anything towards going to the Olympics. So how is that a passion of yours?
Well, I think that
and was let down when you didn't make it. That's unrealistic, and that can send you into a depression. That is not self-evaluating.
But I think that comes down to the definition of passion, because I think a lot of people throw around the word passion.
That's what I'm saying. That's
but we're talking
literally
about making the decision to actually pursue it. If all things being equal, it is a passion. So I feel like that's another scope of the discussion.
Yeah, that's people who are not passionate about it.
But I feel like
but
what
if
we
this
went
isn't
down
a real
was
passion,
me saying that if someone is choosing between two things, evaluating your level of passion.
Yes, you should evaluate before you start. I think there are important questions that you need to ask yourself before you make the decision to jump into this passion and pursue it. But as far as like, okay, all things being equal, this is my passion, I'm going to pursue it. And what that, I guess, evaluation or journey looks like, you don't always know what that journey is going to entail. So being able to evaluate it, you might be able to say, okay, what did I learn from the past few months? What am I going to improve on? You might be able to do that kind of evaluation, but sometimes I can speak for myself, especially in like the jumping into the creative realm, or I didn't really know what this journey would look like, so I don't even know if I could, or there are things that I've just learned along the way that, I made this goal for myself, but now knowing what I know and what I've learned, that probably wasn't a realistic goal. So it's just like there are things that you might learn along the way that you may not know about beforehand. So that's why you just got to be a little, tread lightly when in entering that evaluation realm.
I don't know, man.
Brent's not for it.
I feel like we're saying
Brent
the same, I
says
feel like we're
if
saying
you're
the same
over
thing, you're
50,
just saying
give
it
it
nicer.
up.
I feel like we're saying the same thing, you're just saying it nicer. That's how I look at it. I'm very, like, when it comes to like this, and also when it comes to like relationships and like dating potential, like stuff like that, I'm really lately, especially doing the amount of research I've been doing, I'm very big on like being real with yourself. I feel like people set a lot of unrealistic expectations for things, and that can lead to more bad than good. So like I'm very keen on like, I get it, like this is what you want to do, but do you have the ability to do it? And if you want to chase $5 dreams and you cool with making 10K a year, like, hey, that's your business.
That's how I am.
But
I'm very free spirited.
But at the same time, like, understand that that's what you're going to be making. I think where people get it mixed up is they don't go in knowing like, or understanding that there's going to be the 10K years. And they come in with this expectation that like, oh, well, kind of like American Idol. My parents say I can sing. I'm going to go be a star. And it don't work out that way, and now they depressed in a corner somewhere. So that's why I'm really big on like, look, I evaluate everything I do to give it a realistic, especially after that whole swimming thing. I try to be a lot more introspective and just like really taking a good look at like, what are my chances? Because my mom tried to tell me that I should probably go D2 or whatever, but I was just stubborn, and that led me to depression when it all came crumbling down and I could not reach these goals that I set for myself. I felt like complete shit, and that's on me for not looking at my actual skills and abilities and going where they could have been. I mean, I could have gotten better, but I didn't go where I could have been nurtured. I bit off way more than I could fucking chew, and then I just got a mouthful of shit. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm just like.
But I think that might have been a necessary experience for you to prepare you for what.
About that, nah.
It might have been a necessary experience for you to prepare you for the trials or whatever you may experience as an entrepreneur. There are things that you can look back on now that may help you. So, and one question that I asked myself before pursuing is, if I was getting paid nothing, if I was doing this for free, would I still do it? So I think people need to ask themselves that question. But just in my experience and the different things that I've done, what I've realized is that you don't know what different experiences are going to prepare you for the next one. So sometimes you just gotta go through it. So pursue it, go through it, and then you can figure out what you need to figure out from there. But at least
keep rhyming, dog.
No.
Pursue it, go through it, and figure out if you want to do
it. Not an MC.
I thought you might have been. Shad, what you brewing on over there, man? I know Shad be cooking up this.
You can see the wheels turning.
He'll unleash it on us real quick.
Nah, I'm just thinking about my own personal journey, and then just kind of like, just even thinking of, like, again, it's a lot of it is self-awareness. I think a lot of it has to do with like confidence. Stuff like that's another thing that stops people from like really wanting, like, jumping into something. But I mean, I'm one that truly believes like if age don't mean anything. I feel like, you know, if you, and it's hard when you think about sports. Like I don't want to like think about sports because I feel like there are a lot of people who have dreams of being a professional athlete of some sort or being really good at something, because it's the competition of it. It's like even when you're not you're not an athlete, as a fan, your team you want your team to be the best. So when you think about like sports and athletics and things like that, it's always like I have to be like the best. When you think about it, like when I think about things that you're passionate about, it could be cooking, it could be, you know, I want to be the best cook that I can be. I want to be the best designer I can be. Shit, I'm gonna even take one that this is another one people are like, oh, you too old to be doing. Music. I feel like music doesn't have a age. Now I'm sorry. Let me take that back. let me pull that back. If you're trying to be in the spotlight,
About to say, listen.
you know what I mean?
But
The
there's a
spotlight.
Market for everything,
Yes,
though.
but there's a market for everything. Again,
Colonel
could be
Sanders
your-
ain't about to be in the spotlight.
maybe if you want to, maybe if you're a rapper, maybe you need to sit down and be like, yo, maybe I don't need to be out in the limelight and I could just be a ghostwriter. Like ghostwriters get paid. Like they get paid money. Like these are the things, like, again, being self-aware and understanding that your passion doesn't necessarily have to be tied to one overarching like banner for it.
Right,
You could
right.
be,
It could just be doing it.
yeah, you could be doing it, but in just a different facet, you know. So and you can only get there by actually doing what it is that you're passionate about. If you say to yourself, "Oh shit, like nigga, I done got to 30 years old, 40 years old. I'm not young enough to be a rapper anymore. So let me just stop writing." Songwriters, some of them they be old. You know what I mean? So again, just push on with your dreams.
Brent's not sold.
No. I got another way. I want
Okay.
to ask. I want to pose a question to
Okay.
the panel over here.
Let's hear it.
How do y'all feel about people along the way coming to give you advice on how to pursue your passion? And I'll give you an example, right? And I won't even go to sports. We'll keep it with the music example.
Okay.
How do you feel about, let's say Shad, you want to be a musician, right? You
I'm all
write your
for
own
it.
songs, you sing, you play the acoustic guitar, right? That's what you do. How do you feel about someone looking at you, understanding like kind of where you're at, like what your potential is, and telling you what you just said to me? I don't think that you would be good in the spotlight, but I feel like you would thrive as a writer.
The first thing I'm gonna do is look at your resume. Who have
No, this is someone in the industry. Like this is someone.
and again, I don't care if it's the industry ranks. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you up there and you've worked with people who've had like success in taking your advice and doing those things, then I'm definitely going to take your word. Me
With a
personally,
grain of salt, though.
I'm going to take your word into consideration. Because again, you've dealt with people and you have an eye. You've proven yourself to know what you're talking about. If it's someone who don't know what they're talking about, if it's just a Joe Schmo, like, nah, I'm not listening to you. You can't tell me nothing. If somebody's already done it, then okay, I'm gonna listen to what you're saying. And that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to do that, but I'm going to consider it.
Yeah, definitely grain of salt.
Yeah, you don't sound like you're gonna consider that shit at all.
only
a grain of
only
salt.
because I've read about people's stories a lot. Like for example, Taylor Swift was turned down by every single major record label, and look at Taylor Swift now. You know, there are a lot of musicians. Like I've listened to like interviews and whatnot. There are a lot of musicians that have turned songs down from different songwriters. That those songs went on to being, you know, like for example, I watched the Pharrell interview and he said he gave a lot of those songs to Michael Jackson first that were on the Justified album. Michael was like, no, but look at how Justified did, you know. So you still have to take it with a grain of salt, even if it is someone who's experienced, because they make mistakes too. They're people, you know.
Confidence in yourself
Yeah.
is above all the most paramount thing that you can have. Like,
I feel like something like that, like someone giving you that type of advice, I feel like it can either reassure what you're already feeling. I feel like it will reassure what you're already feeling. So I feel like someone who makes the pivot to decide like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go into writing, they were already feeling that. They were already kind of leaning that way, right? Because I know stories of people who have stopped pursuing regular music careers and only pursue producing and killing it. Mike Will made it. Like, there's a lot of DJ Khaled. He stopped trying to be an artist and started doing this little collab stuff, and now he's a mogul. So there's both sides, right? But I think it, once again, goes back to the self-awareness. You have to be aware. You have to know, like, kind of where you sit in this universe. Like, you got to kind of understand, like, you know, where you are. And you can decide that you're ready to, you know, face the challenges and the trials and the tribulations of just sticking to what it is that you want, right? Sticking to or what you think you want. Sticking to this one track, right? Or you can make that pivot from athlete to coach. Like you said, I could have ran 4 more years. I could have went on some more Ghana teams. I could have traveled a couple more times, but I was ready to make a pivot. I could have made 3 more albums, but switching to this writing thing, now I'm killing it. Akon could have kept making albums. But what did he go do? I'm going to go discover Lady Gaga and get rich off that. You know what I'm saying? T-Pain, I love his story, like listening, you know what I'm saying, all the stuff he went through. So I think you have to know yourself, know your character, because me personally, I don't necessarily love it all the time, but I do enjoy people's perspectives about what I do. Because I do feel like you can learn something, you can take a little piece of what someone's saying, because they're not saying it just to say it. They perceive something. And I like to look through other people's lenses. That's something I love to do. I love to kind of try to see, like, okay, how did you see this? Like when I posted my end of the year recap, like people were telling me that they were crying. I'm like, it was just me. Like it was a song and then me. So I'm like, well, why did you feel that way? Like I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, let me put myself like in your mind and see, like, you know, what you saw. And when someone says something like that to you, they might see some area in your life that you shining bright as hell, that you suppressing, that you don't even know. You know what I mean? Like directing. That kind of happened with me with directing. I knew I was going to hold the camera. I'm over here I'm looking up lighting tutorials and all that stuff. And they're like, damn, you really communicate so well with talent. And like so I'm like, okay, I never really thought about like not having the camera in my hand. Like, cause when you first start out, you don't get hired to just direct. That's like a higher up industry thing. You get hired because you have a camera, you can edit and do all these things. And it was other people kind of telling me like, yo, you should like really, and I started doing it. I'm like, damn, I'm really good at this. Like, I really love this, like, more than the camera. But I thought that was the avenue to filmmaking for me. So I kind of look at it like that sometimes, where I'm just like, maybe, well, because you so in it, somebody else can see something that you honestly love more than you know. And that's why I kind of love, like, when people, I mean, of course, qualifications matter and intentions matter, right? Some people just be trying to knock you off your shit. And if you're self-aware, you're going to see that, though. You know what I mean? But like my mom knew. She wasn't a swimmer. And I used to think of it like, you don't swim. I could drop 10 seconds in a year. You're talking about you don't swim. But she knew. And she saw it before I did.
That's crazy. I think about like I'll never forget my college coach. Like, I would never forget this day. I know exactly where we were, what time of the year. We were going to the weight room. He was coming back. He stopped me. He said, Ajapam. He said, you know what? It was random. It's like, you know what? He said, you gonna make a good coach. I looked at him and said, Coach.
I'm make good
Get that. I said, get the hell out of my face. I'm not coaching nobody kids. Yeah. And this is what he did. He just looked at me. He shook his head, smirked, and he walked away. Was it about 4 or 5 years ago? He was in Houston for, like, they had a coaching convention. He was coaching at LSU at the time, but now I think he's at Alabama or Arkansas. He's one of the top hammer throw coaches in the world. Yeah. We were sitting down having dinner, and I just brought it up, and he just started. He's like, I tried to tell you. He's like, I told you you were going to be coaching at some point. You're going to be successful at it. Like, I just saw it. And when you speak of that, I'm like, yo, there are people who really see it in you when you don't see it in yourself. And I think it just takes those type of people to kind of really kind of speak that positivity and confidence into you to like make you might not see it at that exact moment.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that
you might not see it at the exact moment,
time.
but when it comes up, it's reassuring. It's like, oh damn, maybe he was right. Maybe he was right. So shout out Coach Yush.
Because that's what happened with me. That's why I was successful in coaching, because I sucked so bad. I knew everything about swimming, bro. Like I engulfed myself in it. You know, the guys that are like super good, they don't be really researching shit. They be like, yeah, I got it, bro. Me, bro, I knew all the arm bend technique. I knew everything, bro. So when I transitioned into coaching, it was just like, it was like flourishing. So it's like,
you needed that experience.
Yep. A lot of coaches. There's coaches who like didn't even do the sport.
Yeah.
Who like are like world renowned. Like
the best coaches. I'm not gonna say they sucked at the sport, but they weren't that good.
Yeah.
In the NBA, like MLB, like Michael Jordan. Come on now, you see how he is a GM. Like just because you're good at something, don't mean you can teach it. But no, I do think sometimes people see that light in you, and going back to that self-awareness, that's like a theme, you know, it should be the theme of this year. If you know yourself well enough, like you said, maybe it might not be the right time because you were still like in the prime of your running. So, but he saw it coming. I don't necessarily know if he was saying you're gonna coach tomorrow, but he's like, nah, bro, one day like you're gonna do that shit. You know what I'm saying? And if you know yourself well, you might be able to see it. But when it comes up later, that can be that reassurance, like, damn, oh boy, I'll be good at this. Like they was saying that I was, you know, killing it when I ran practice that one time. You know what I mean? And you think back to that, you know what I mean? So that's why I wanted to know like how y'all felt about other people giving their little 2 cents on like, you know, what you got going on. So any closing remarks for the old people out there, Vicky, and chasing their passions? You're on their side.
Just do it.
Okay.
Just do it.
Shad?
Yeah, I agree. Just like if you have a dream or something that you want to do, no matter if you're old, young, have a plan and just do it. Like don't doubt yourself. Dive into it because living is like one of the best teachers. Like you can't learn anything unless you go through things.
And try it. At least try.
Exactly.
At minimum.
I forget who says it. Who kind of, I think Gary Vee speaks on it a lot. Like a lot of times you got to fail like 3, 4, 5 businesses in order to get to that one where you get it rocking. And once you get that one, then you got the blueprint, and then the next one's gonna be rolling right after that. So just dive in, get it done, and reap the rewards later. No matter how old you are. If you're 50, you want to be the best apple pie maker in the world. Start baking them pies.
Slice them apples up. You got the two optimists. I'll be the realist, man. You know? I mean, my advice is simple, man. You know, go with a plan and evaluate yourself along the way. I feel like that's the only way to progress. Is if you constantly, like we do this with the behind the scenes. I watch our behind the scenes just to see what we can improve on. Just to see how we can get better, and to kind of, you know, check the passion level a little bit sometimes. I can tell when somebody's not really into something. So yes, even if you're older, go ahead and go after that passion. Just be very aware of where you sit in the universe and is it worth it? I think that's a fair question to ask. And that's how we're going to end this episode. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Raw Daddy Hour. Grandma, come on now, we here. You old and you still watching us. I mess with you. Once again, this episode is sponsored by State Farm of Detroit. If you need that good insurance, hit up Kenya Wells. Information is going to be on the screen. I want to thank my guests once again, my good friends. Held me down for a whole 2020, man. You know, we made it, guys. And we will catch y'all in the next one.